Welcome. I'm Jack Hogan. I'm the Vice President of Technology Strategy with Pure Storage, and I'm joined today by Michael Russo, Vice President of Product Management, and James Lemming, Vice President and Global Head of Infrastructure from Options IT. Options IT is a global leader in financial technology managed services. We're here today to discuss how Pure as a Service provides operational and financial flexibility to manage service providers to more efficiently support their customers. Pure as a Service was introduced in 2018 as the first true on-premise storage as a service offering that provides a flexible consumption model for those companies that want to focus on business growth and consume storage that takes advantage of cloud economics, cloud operations, and cloud customer experience. There's no area that's more aligned to this model than the type of offering that we have as managed service providers who are delivering the same type of outcomes to their customers whose workloads and operations they support. So let's get started. Mike, can you introduce yourself and your role at Options IT and provide an overview of what Options IT does and the markets you focus on and serve?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jack. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys today. My name is Michael Russo, go by Mike. I am the VP of Product for the Managed Applications Division of Options Technology. I run that line of business globally for the firm. Overall, Options has been around in the market for over 25 years. We service only the financial services industry. And three main product verticals, when you think about it, are our managed application offering. So that's helping either banks and individual financial institutions host applications in the cloud. We also work with a lot of the major third-party software providers, allowing them to bring their software to the market as a service. That's kind of managed apps in a nutshell. Managed colocation is our next line of business, and that's really around your ultra low latency data, ultra high frequency trading business, where we're actually co-locating a lot of banks and our clients' physical setup in exchanges and data centers, or data centers that exchanges reside in around the world. And finally, our managed platform business is really something that we'd offer to banks, the hedge funds, and really any financial institution that would be managing the full desktop setup. Everything from what's on a trader's desktop to telephony systems, video conferencing. Obviously, storage as a service is a huge one there for us as well. But it's everything you could think of that a portfolio manager or a trader would need to conduct business on a day-to-day basis.
Perfect, Mike. Well, listen, it sounds like you guys covered the soup to nuts in the financial services sector for sure. So James, why don't we have you introduce yourself and characterize what Pure is solving for Options IT and how this is important to your overall business?
Sure, absolutely. Hi, I'm James Lemming, Global Head of Infrastructure for Options Technology. So we are using Pure pretty much across the board to solve high performance storage and compute requirements. So we are leveraging it across our financial backbone, delivered into sort of 15 data centers globally, about 17 availability zones, and backing everything from high performance databases, tick data, all the way through to NAS services, leveraging replication, DR, snapshotting, all the kinds of Pure integrated features.
Perfect, excellent. Well, glad that we're solving and so broadly installed within the business there. So why don't we talk about how Pure as a Service has really changed the way that Options IT handles new customer workloads and really the deal analysis as you look to really cost out the models that you have for your customers, and how does that compare to what you were doing prior to introducing Pure as a Service within the Options IT environment?
Absolutely. I mean, a vast quantity of being a service provider is the ability to deploy standardized infrastructure to solve a very large quantity of different requirements. Maybe in the past, you have to sort of spend too much time thinking about what type of storage you could potentially put a workload on to find that actually the specification of the workload itself is completely out of spec for, spinning disk or spinning Rust, as you'd probably want to call it nowadays. And it's just a huge burn of everyone's time, especially when you sort of end up with, then clients forcing products towards a cost point to then make products just not work. So aligning very much with Pure across the platform has allowed us to effectively say, why don't we just use the most high performance storage there is available and not have these questions that burn everyone. And we've received incredibly good feedback from the client base off the back of it. It's no longer about, oh, what can we fit it on? It's, wow, everything just works. Business as usual is boring, and in IT, boring business is great.
Yeah, well, I say boring business, but happy customers is actually a great way to operate. So let's talk about the advantages you're seeing in kind of consolidating the tiers of storage that you've had in this kind of unified consumption model, and how's that really affecting the way that you guys can implement in terms of timed implementation and how you can run different workloads.
No, absolutely. So I think where you have to start is to look at how the original engagement started. So even as we were starting down this path, the communication with the Pure team has been absolutely excellent. Sort of scoping and sizing, even though the sizing is very simplified nowadays, it's great. And then highlighting the data centers, the sites we're going to go into, what we actually need to do, and then effectively the units arrive. We don't necessarily care about silly metrics like IOPS and throughput, as long as the performance is within the SLA. It's great. So it just tremendously simplified nowadays. As long as the numbers stay where they are, then it doesn't really matter. The storage just expands to our needs. There's overhead provided from Pure as a service, which is great. And it's been very helpful because we are growing massively all the time, which is fantastic. So it's been more about having those weekly conversations to make sure that we keep on expanding the arrays as needed. And fortunately, expansion of arrays is very seamless.
Well, that's great. Well, obviously, expansion of the arrays means that your business is growing, and really that simplicity is one of the core pillars that Pure really has made a name for itself in the market, and something that we really love to hear our customers really talk about, the simplicity. So let's turn over to Mike. From a product perspective, what's the operational impact for Options IT in using Pure as a service, and really just the day-to-day operational procurement, purchasing? We talked about the additional capacity gains, being simple, but what's this mean to the business in terms of being able to kind of support the product?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great question. In a nutshell, the switch to Pure as a service has been tremendously positive impact on options overall. And that's not just operationally, right? So when I think about it, the financial services market is utilizing things like AI, big data analytics. That's on an ever increasing basis, right? So the value of data seems to only be increasing day over day. The ability to efficiently store and utilize that data has thus become a huge driving factor of our client success. Simplicity of scalability across our global storage platform it's a key element of our offering. And we've already rapidly scaled several of our strategic storage locations. And I think, James was just alluding to that of just how many we have globally, and the fact that we are growing pretty much day on day. Since our partnership inception last November with Pure, right? So the way I see it across all business lines, Pure has quickly become one of the foundational elements of options, being able to support that client growing need for data, as well as options bringing additional, as a service solutions to the market.
Well, yeah, that's great to hear. In terms of the standardization across things, let's talk about some of the impact of really the financial aspect of things for options. Can you talk a little bit more about what it's like now that you can align your storage consumption to the actual sale and growth that you've talked about, rather than former models where you might have had to acquire capacity that you might not be able to really take full advantage of or have full utilization of for as much as 5, maybe even more the time frame. What's that doing for you in terms of being able to create new products and allow you to do things you haven't been able to before with older traditional CapEx models in comparison to Pure as a service?
Yeah, no, another great question. I mean, I remember, talking to you and also, John Olson in the beginning of the partnership, especially my line of business specifically in apps, that whole, being able to utilize storage in a service fashion versus your traditional buy in bulk CapEx model, it is life changing, right? I don't even want to say it's game changing. It's life changing for me and the entire team. Servicing the industry that we do requires us to be completely agile and capable of rapidly scaling, both upwards and downwards, right? We love to see the growth, but we do realize at times there is some shrink, and we have to be able to support both those directions. When I think about in the past, we had to really assess the market and take calculated risks when budgeting for storage based on anticipated demand, right? So our partnership with Pure really has made that a thing of the past. We're now able to kind of adjust our needs in real time based on our clients' demand, even at something as large as a petabyte scale. And I know, for the storage providers, petabyte can sometimes look, it's just a petabyte. But in Options World and even on the app side, a petabyte can be, quite large to us. So the fact that we can scale with speed and grace at that magnitude is outstanding, right? So, I mean, that gives us the ability to support our clients, whether they're growing organically or whether they're growing via acquisition. It really makes us best positioned and postured to meet and exceed their capacity as well as performance needs.
Yeah, Mike, that's great to hear. I mean, what I kind of heard you saying that speed to deployment, that ability to match up, your company and your customers' needs and be able to rapidly adapt to that. Another one of the core pillars that Pure really believes that all companies should have in this world of modern data and this modern data experience we talk about. And so I think that's great. So let's turn back to kind of some of the operational aspects of things and look at alternatives. So James, let me ask you, what would you say the relative benefits of Pure as a service are over alternative storage consumption models, like those from maybe hyperscalers, where most people's minds are when they think about storage as a service is a full cloud, but in your world you've got some unique needs. What is that like for you at Options and how you're viewing Pure as a service relatively to others?
No, sure, absolutely, and it's always good to say yes, and it's a bit of a changer. I don't have to go, oh, let me just go and have a look and see if that's going to work. I can basically say yes. There's a significant portfolio of products that is either, well, everything's supported, we know that, but there's normally a portfolio of products that will have enhancements and plugins that can be brought to bear. Integration with things like VMware, SQL, Kubernetes, all of these fantastic things is just there out of the box. You don't have to build them yourself. And ultimately, as it stands, we're just rolling up more and more of these and handing them out and supporting them across our cloud. So yeah, being able to say the power of saying yes is a fantastic thing to all of your clients, and so we manage the infrastructure. Everyone is an internal client to us. We need to make sure that we can say yes to them so they can say yes to their clients, and ditto, sales as well. So yeah, it's an incredibly powerful thing to be able to do. And it's definitely has changed quite a lot. The ability to pretty much put any workload on and say it's going to work, we know that, and then say, actually, did you know you could do it like this, and maybe do licensing a little bit differently that might be more efficient for you guys, and not the way they say you should do it. But yeah, it has a really big feedback from the clients. Like a lot of positivity has been felt by it being able to do that. Go off a great conversation this morning with one of our top tier clients, who've just basically said, yeah, well, we were going to do it this way, but we had those conversations with you. We're changing how we're doing it. We're doing it this way now. We're looking really forward to it. And they're sort of running towards and embracing the storage and using that how to change the way that they do business. And that's just absolutely fantastic.
Well, listen, I think that's great. When we start to talk about the ability where IT has always been seen as that department of no for so long, being able to have the cloud experience, and what we all recognize as that cloud operating model does allow that ability to say yes, and the reimagining of the way things are able to be done and for your clients. And And so I think that impact and that kind of cloud everywhere model is really, really impactful and important. So great to hear that your customers are seeing the benefits of that as well. So Mike, let's get back over on kind of the the economics and kind of what the Pure as a Service model is doing for Options IT in terms of like that net present value of kind of moving forward and pulling back and being able to redeploy the capital that might have previously been tied up into expensive equipment that's not fully utilized. But how are you now kind of thinking about your growth and growth as a business by leveraging the net present value of the cash that's been freed up by consuming storage only as you need it and only paying for what you need? What's that leading towards in terms of new product development, other lead generation or marketing activities? We've talked about some faster time to market on things, but I'd like to go a little bit deeper on what that additional kind of free up of capital is doing for you.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, first and foremost, being able to kind of flip the storage model on its head, being, not a large CapEx outlay and really getting to switch it to consumption based and thus OpEx for us has been huge. I mean, it's really allowed us to be much, as you mentioned, much quicker time to market, as well as, on the pricing side of things, it's really allowed us to become extremely competitive. So it's, we're offering basically the highest tier of storage possible at rates that are competitive to some of the biggest players out there. So, I mean, our existing clients and future clients, it's something that they're benefiting from right off the bat. So, tremendous, right? When I think about internally, if you ask anybody at Options, what's the best thing we have going, you'll often hear, or most likely hear, that our most valuable asset is our people. All right, so our global teams are always striving to be as innovative as possible, and they are automating everything from the simplest of client support requests all the way through global complex environment builds for some of our larger global clients. Having that liquidity up front to invest in quality initiatives such as automation, global platform expansion, et cetera, it's invaluable. I can't put a dollar sign to that, right? And our partnership with Pure has really allowed us to focus our efforts on funding those innovation type projects versus thinking about funding capacity planning and doing budgeting around that. So it's been just tremendously game changing for us.
Well, Mike, that's great to hear. I mean, I think that when Pure recognizes that is the manifestation of the modern data experience, and really being able to focus on what matters and putting the capital that you have to use to actually create new innovations within the company. I think that's a huge benefit of what Pure as a Service is allowing companies to do, and we're seeing this across many in not just the managed service provider space but beyond. I want to thank both of you for your time today, and really want to kind of wrap up here just by saying, it really seems like Options is achieving an enhanced value in terms of just greater agility and flexibility, increasing time to market, allowing more predictable costs, and really love hearing that you're delighting your customers with a better, faster, and more modern data experience. So again, thanks, and thank you for your incredible partnership. For those listening, for more information on Options IT, you can visit them on their website, www.options-it.com, to learn about their services in the financial services sector. You can also check out Pure Storage and learn more about Pure as a Service on purestorage.com. And you can provide your company with the same economic and operational flexibility along with world-class customer support. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.